Hello, Collective. Wendy Joy, love, light, and positivity. I was directed that I should remind everybody that there's two sides of indulgence. And when we use indulgence within the positive side, then we know what our limitations are. We could um, partake in an activity or whatever it may be, right? Whether it be going out or drinking or eating or buying or, watching movies or whatever the indulgence may be. It could be anything because, we do, desire a multitude of things at different times in our life. Let's just be honest about that. I'm always honest, actually. And in any event, when we indulge on the positive side, then we know where our limitations are. We know that we could partake in an activity that we enjoy, but we know when to stop, right? Now, when you use indulgence on the negative side, then you don't know when to stop. And then indulgence becomes something of a crutch or something of a limitation. And it actually can suppress you without even realizing, because when we indulge in something that we may like, but we're on the negative side of the spectrum, then we don't know when enough is enough. Because as far as we're concerned, right, when we're in that state of mind, there's never enough. But that's our old programming, telling us that maybe of a scarcity, mindset, or maybe of a hoarding mindset, or maybe you just take whatever that activity is to the limit because there's some kind of rush of adrenaline when you're, going past, your gates, so to speak, or your boundaries, your internal boundaries. And sometimes people don't have internal boundaries because they don't realize that too much or too little of something really doesn't benefit them. And then bad things can occur, whether more of that same, situation comes to you, or if it shows up in people or places. It doesn't necessarily have to be, tangible. It could be a mindset where you're repeating the same thing over and over again. And, you're wondering why you can't get out of the loop. Well, these are all great reasons, times, and, positions to be in to step back, to refocus, to reassess, to look to see if that indulgence that, is leading you or controlling you is really beneficial for you. And if you, on whatever level, even if it's a tiny little glimmer, say, no, it's not, it's actually hurting me, maybe not today, but definitely, if I continue, down the long run, it will be a path that will be very hard to migrate away from. And that can happen. I've actually seen that firsthand. And sometimes people need to be right at their limit and then beyond before they realize that, they've made a left turn somewhere. And other people can catch it well before that. And I'm just here to remind you that indulgence has two roads, the positive side and the negative side. And if you find yourself teetering in between, don't fall into negativity. That's when it's time to stand tall and to be very courageous and very, brave, because it does take an awful lot of bravery to know when to stop, to know what your limits are, to know what is good for you and what is not, and what may be suitable for another. It doesn't necessarily have to be a journey or a path that others have to fall or, go down rather, right? Like fall behind them, like go down that path. Because everybody is an individual and we all have the ability to use our mind and to listen to our intuition and, feel the emotions that dwell up within us and respond to them and not react. So if you need me to help you distinguish between the positive side or the negative side of indulgence, and when is too far and when is enough, and what is just right, like that taste. Because here, I'll be honest with you, I love ice cream cake. Absolutely love it. Do you want to know why? Because the little crunchies in between the layers of ice cream. So I indulged, right, and bought an ice cream cake. I could have bought a sheet, but I didn't. I bought a really tiny one. And I didn't eat the whole thing at one time. I knew what my limits were. And I had a piece every couple of days. And that was because I didn't want to have it every day. Because then what gave me pleasure, right, the ice cream cake with the crunchies in between, wouldn't have the same meaning to me, if I were to eat it every single day. So that's a safe way and a positive way that you can deal with your indulgence and still be able to partake in an activity. And that's also a clear way of showing what negative side of indulgence can do. So if I were to consume that ice cream every single day or until it was all gone, then the gratification wouldn't be as exciting or tingling, right? As if I were to have stretched it out over a period of time. Food for thought. My lovely collective, whatever you do today, may you always be able to discern where, your direction is going and whether or not you are walking on the positive or negative side of indulgence. I'm always here. If you need me, we can always chat. My pleasure, absolutely. You have a great day. Be mindful. Love yourself.